What's up, everyone? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
I've been excited to get on mic with you all week and talk about some of these releases, which include a new album from one of my favorite artists, Amine, as well as KAYTRAMINÉ. But before we get into that, we're going to run through some of the singles that came out this week. If you guys listening like the show, please make sure you give us a follow wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to know what we'll be covering each week, follow along with the official Brandon's Face playlist. You can find that link in the show notes. All right, man, let's talk about some music because I'm very excited for this one. Starting with a new one from Zoo, Default, and Baby Jake called Revolutions. I can't believe it, man. Zoo actually made a good song again. Good for him.
Oh my god.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Zoo has been on a very interesting trajectory over the last couple of years, man.
That's a way of putting it. Yeah.
His production style is obviously like identifiable, but he's really trying to separate himself from the house music he used to make. I really actually liked this track. I'm excited to hear how he continues to move this style forward.
Me too. Still terrible lyrics, by the way.
Oh, for
but
sure.
a good track.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got a new one from Chami called The Calling. This is the Rooster Jacks remix of that track. What are your thoughts on it?
Rooster Jacks has to be the worst DJ producer name I have seen in a long time. The remix is fun. Piano house with some oomph behind it. I added this blind. Ended up really liking this one. What did you think?
I have not heard the original, but this is a really fun and festival-ready remix. I enjoyed it.
Most definitely.
We got a new one from Rez and Grabbits called Signal. This isn't as punk as I thought it would be as the next single from their upcoming EP that also features Blue in the Face, but it's still a fucking banger and a great follow-up to their 2020 collaboration, Someone Else. Did you enjoy this one?
Yeah, I did, man. She has this way about producing that she just has like this ability to make haunting sound like so beautiful, you know?
Yep.
I really like Rez's production style.
You think we're going to get another Nightmare on Rez Street this year?
I don't know, man. I mean, now that RL Grime may or may not be dropping his Halloween mix every year, we probably should.
Yes, I think we need a natural successor. And if not Rez, then or RL Grime, then somebody else needs to step up.
Right.
I have a candidate, and that is Kill the Noise, who just released a new song with Shadow Click called Ultraviolet. God bless artists like Kill the Noise, Rez, Excision, and Revolt for keeping EDM noise punk like this alive, man. It's so fucking over the top, but I love it. What about you?
Welcome back, Kill the Motherfucking Noise. This track is fucking great. That breakdown towards the end is just awesome. I loved this.
Yeah, great stuff. Another new one from AC Slater this week and Jay Robinson. This one's called Until the Morning. What are your thoughts on it?
Classic Night Bass Records music, my man. We ain't gonna stop until the morning comes knocking.
That is the motto. Nothing like some AC Slater to get you through the week, man. He's so consistently great. It's hard not to be a fan of his.
Right.
Got a new one from an artist named Kirby called Rush. This is my first time hearing Kirby, but I dig it. Where'd this come from?
So I've been following Kirby for like 10 years or something like that on Spotify. We haven't covered many or even any of his tracks, and I think you just confirmed that we haven't covered any of his tracks because his music stopped sounding like this for like quite a while. Every time he releases something, I preview it, and I previewed this one, and I was like, hey, there it is. So I threw it on here just to shake up the week a little bit.
I dug it. Yeah, definitely like this style. Would enjoy more of it for sure.
Yep.
Got a new one from Temudo called Scars. This one's a well-made track, but I had a little trouble getting into it. It's very minimal, kind of weird, definitely giving me some Brandon energy though. So I'm guessing you enjoyed this one.
Most definitely. I'm a big fan of Clockworks Records, which this track was released on. Mr. Ben Clock owns Clockworks, and yeah, man, this was very minimal. For everybody following along with the playlist, I sorted this one, so I don't know if John, if you agree with where I put it, but I really didn't see any other techno this week. So
no.
I was like, fuck it, it's going somewhere.
I agreed with where you selected it.
Okay.
All right, moving into the pop realm of things, we got a new one from Bad Bunny, which is actually my song of the week this week.
Hey.
I don't know what word he's saying. I don't need to. It's provocative, gets the people going, and the video is somehow just as good as the song. Did you get a chance to check that video out that I sent you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so he drives a Mad Max style Rolls Royce through the desert, complete with a ski mask covered Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament. We get
Wow.
cameos from Frank Ocean, Lil Uzi Vert, few other people. Part of me wonders if this was all filmed during the 2 weeks that Coachella was taking place because it's all out in the desert, but doesn't really look like that desert. I'm interested to, after you see it, what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah.
If it was, that kind of only adds to the intrigue of what happened to Frank Ocean that weekend if he was off filming this too. But all of that aside, this song is a certified hit, will most likely be the start of his fourth album rollout in 4 years. And if this single is anything to go off of, he's about to fully cement himself as one of the biggest pop stars in the world today, not just in specific countries. What did you think of this one?
Look, man, this production sounds a lot like some early Odessa, just kind of like Latin flipped. This is fucking great, man. I thought since the title was in English, we were going to be getting an English track from him, but I was indeed wrong. Like I am.
He does say the words "Where She Goes" in English once in the
yes,
song,
but
very briefly. I kind of like the hybridization. I like how he'll start a sentence in Spanish and use a few words in English. I think that style works really well for him. And if you remember, during his Coachella set, he asked people after the first song if he wanted them to talk in English after every song or Spanish. And everybody cheered much louder when he said he would talk in Spanish. So
the man's got away with
what
words.
They want, man.
For sure.
He does. He's headlining fucking WWE shows in Puerto Rico. The guy is literally just one of the biggest celebrities on earth right now, and he's making really good music too.
What an ascent. Good for him.
Somebody who is not making good music right now is Post Malone, who released his new song Morning. I'm a hater. Don't listen to me. I have nothing nice to say about this. I'm not going to say anything at all, but I have not been a fan of Post Malone's career. That last album of his we reviewed. But I don't want to dampen your spirit if you're enjoying this one. So what are your thoughts on it?
I thought this was a fun song, man.
Good. Okay, good. I think that this is the start of a rollout. He announced a new album. I don't have the date in front of me, but I'm always willing to give an album like that a spin if you want to try and review it. just have not enjoyed any of his stuff to date, despite how like massively successful it's become.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I never like an album of his. I don't think he's put out any albums that have been like, wow, this is fucking great. A couple of songs here or there. I think this one's fun. It's not amazing, but it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what Post Malone is really good at. So we'll see what happens.
I'll agree. It was weird when we reviewed his last album because there was that song with him and Doja Cat that was not a single at the time. And I think in the review, I was like, I'm going to hear this song so fucking much over the next year. And I was right, man.
And you did,
I like you. I do. I hear it every day, man. It's actually kind of a jam, but it might be like Stockholm Syndrome. I might just be like too used to it at this point.
Honestly, bro, I was never a fan of Michelle Branch back in the day. But
and now you'll walk 3,000 miles.
You know, man, I walk around the Stater Brothers and I hear that Michelle Branch come on and I'm like, let's go.
Yes, as you should, man. Shout out Michelle Branch. Come on the pod, talk to us. What do you think of Doja Cat hating her fans?
What do I think of Doja Cat hating her fans? I think that Doja Cat probably doesn't really hate her fans. I think that Doja Cat I think that she should make more music like that cow music that she used to do. What was that called? Moo? Yeah. I think she should definitely, look, man, if she made the cash grabs, fucking put your money where your mouth is, girl. Make an album that is fun and your style. And if her fans,
I don't think that's her intention. I think her intention is to go full rap from here. She wants to be considered a rapper and nothing else.
Well, she'll fail, I think. So I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, when that Ninth Wonder beat for Diet Coke came out, there's a bunch of rumors that she's been working with Ninth Wonder and he's going to produce a whole album for her.
Look,
Plot
good.
twist: he is not going to do that. I am almost guaranteed. I mean, there's probably a lot of money to be made if he does, but he doesn't typically do that type of shit.
Look,
I'd
man,
be
good for
interested
her.
in hearing it.
Good for her. I would definitely listen to it when you're going up against the rap game right now, which is failing. Rap is just declining at rapid speeds, in my opinion. But
Good rap is.
good rap is right,
Yeah.
and we're seeing it kind of fall less out of popularity. I think you've really got to stand out if you're just starting a rap career right now. But I guess maybe she does have a leg up.
You're not a Playboy Cardi fan?
I am not a Cardi fan, man. I'm not. I don't like the Yeet. I don't like the. I don't like.
Oh,
The
you don't like
Cardi.
art? What's wrong, Jay? You don't like art? We will quote "This is the end" on every podcast from here on out going forward. That's my goal, man.
All right, all right.
All right, we got a new one from her called "The Journey." If "Beautiful" by Christina Aguilera and "The Climb" by Miley Cyrus had a baby, it would be this song, which sounds like a weird combination, but it's actually kind of a perfect combination, all things considered. Will I be rushing to revisit this track after this week? No. Will it get another Grammy nomination for her? Probably. In terms of technicality, it's flawless. Even if it's not the type of R&B I prefer to listen to most of the time, I could realize and admit that every single aspect of almost every song she releases is perfectly written, performed, produced from the ground up, and her fingerprints are all over it. So, shout out to her. What did you think of this ballad?
I actually thought this was a fantastic song, John. She has this grandiosity on this song that like really reminds me of Florence Welch. Actually,
Interesting. Okay. I could see that.
yeah.
Yeah, and that the way her vocals build towards the end is very powerful too.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I'm actually a big fan of her after I really dived down and dissected that last album that we reviewed from her. I think in 2021.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Man, she's got the chops, bro.
She definitely has the chops, and she's already very well critically acclaimed. She's already won, I believe, multiple Grammys, and it still seems like there's nowhere to go but up for her, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
Oh man, her, they, there's so many like pronoun named artists right now that it's so confusing when I'm actually talking about them.
Sir,
Not to be
Sly.
confused with another artist named them. I'm saying the word them. Uh, all right, let's move on to one from Lou called "Caught Me Running." I've been wanting to talk to you about Amma for a while now because I've had her last EP on repeat since discovering her, but she hadn't released anything new to talk about until now. This track is a little bit slower than a majority of that EP that I'm so hooked on of hers, but the last minute when the full drums kick in show kind of a glimmer of what she's like at her best. And this one's been growing on me with every listen. I'm excited to see where this new single goes and for you to hear more from her. But what did you think of this?
Yeah, man, I actually really like this one. Like you said,
Good.
the back end where the drums start coming in and it gets kind of bigger. The song
Mm-hmm.
just gets kind of bigger. And I love the little Spotify video of her dressed up pouring gas throughout the house.
Yes.
Great track, man. Great track.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, she has not confirmed that this is the start of an official rollout, but I would guess so.
Yeah.
All right, man. Got a new one, kind of. This is the Kendrick Lamar edition remix of America Has a Problem by Beyonce. So far, I found both remixes we've reviewed from this album to be a little more engaging than the original versions. Not to say the original version of like either of these songs aren't good. It's clearly one of the runaway hits from the album, but I think the wetter remix of the last track we reviewed of Cuff It was more my speed than the original. Adding Kendrick to America Has a Problem seems like a slam dunk, and I think he delivers a great verse, but this is one of those tracks I, for some reason, didn't have a lot of desire to go back to after I was done with it. What about you?
That's funny you say that. I actually had the same feeling about not really like desiring to go back to it, but I did think that it was really good. I really hope that we are on Kung Fu Kenny's post album feature spree energy here. Look, man,
Beyonce getting him to do a feature is a little different than anybody else, but I hope so
true.
too.
But how do you start? You start a feature spree real big, bro.
Big Sean, Control 2, do it.
I'm putting this energy out into the world here. Look, man, it sounds like he sounds like two people in this verse, and he like finds flows in these pockets of production and just fucking rips it apart, man. I love the way he makes music. It is true art.
We should also give Beyonce some credit, as if she needs more. Because all of these remixes, she has done additional new vocals, which is not a wrinkle a lot of artists are willing to do. So shout out Beyonce.
Yeah, sure.
All right, man. Very intrigued on your new thoughts on this Toby and Ngwikwe, Nas, and Jacob Banks song called On My Soul for the new Transformers movie. What do you think of it?
All right. Even though it's an OST track, I love the fact that Toby and Nas are on the same track. I'm really happy that Toby got to work with arguably one of the greatest rappers alive. He works hard for what he does, and he puts really all of his heart and like truly his soul into everything that he does, and he deserves like Nas to jump on a track on his next album. To be honest with you, but it's a soundtrack rap song, bro. For the Transformers movie. I don't know I don't know really what else to say.
That's it, man. See, I agree. You nailed it. I thought this would be the collab to end all collabs, but it kind of feels more like a Nas feature tacked on to the end of a Toby song more than a true 50-50 collab. It's still good. Toby still kills it. The hook from Jacob works, but I can see why they threw it on a soundtrack for the new Transformers movie rather than saving this one for an album.
Yeah, honestly, man, it could also be that like they didn't even get into the studio together. Nas and Toby both could have just like, I don't know, tracked vocals in their fucking garage and then emailed it to Michael fucking Bay. Like
I hope Michael Bay produced this song. That would be fucking excellent. They can't be in the same studios because they have fire codes and they would burn the shit down if they were both in the same booth.
You're right.
All right, man. We got one you threw on here from Simba called Top G. Talk to me about this one.
All right. So I had never heard of Simba before this track. He kind of has this like Rick Ross flow, but he still manages to make this specific flow feel pretty fresh. Production is really good in my opinion. I'm going to be looking more into his discography. As rap kind of dies, I think that the underground is going to kind of shift a little bit, and I'm really going to try to dig into what's happening in the underground as one of the most popular genres in the world kind of fades.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot more into British hip hop.
Fair. I mean, like
Dave and Stormzy definitely
Dave and
started
Stormzy. Yeah, I mean,
I think I sent you that Skepta video the other day. He's a legend.
So good.
AJ Tracy, he's a newer one I've been listening to a lot. He was actually on the Amine tour that I went to, but the show we saw Amine at is the only one where he wasn't the opener, so I'm kind of bummed on that one in retrospect.
Damn.
Back to the Simba song though. When you have a good sounding voice for rap and something to say, nonchalant delivery over some heavy ass bass works every time.
It works, right? I heard the song.
Oh, it fucking works.
I heard the track and I was like, yep, John's got to hear this.
I definitely had to hear it, so thank you for adding it. Moving on, we got a new one from No Worries, aka Anderson .Paak and Knowledge, called Daydreaming. File this away under things I wasn't expecting. I know both of their work. I've listened to their first collab album a few times. This one hits a little different though, man. Rappers doing psychedelic indie this year is not exactly new. Shout out Lil Yachty, but that Anderson and Knowledge doing it on this track is just different to me. The beat, the delivery, the vibe, that fucking guitar solo, the Grand Theft Auto graphics music video that they did for this one. It's incredible. There's a rumor that they're going to be dropping a new album this summer. If so, I'm going to have that in KAYTRAMINÉ on repeat all year and beyond. What about you? Are you digging this one?
Yeah, man, I really like this one. I love the way they interpolated all the guitars. Paak just has such a great voice for this style of music, and I think it worked really well.
I fucking love it. You think he wrote that guitar part?
Honestly, kind of.
Yeah, I do too. I honestly do. He's playing it in the video, but like I said, he's a Grand Theft Auto avatar, which hard to tell.
I can do that.
You know this. Oh, you do know this. He was in that DLC for it that came out like a year ago, so I imagine it wasn't too hard to get them to do like the music video for this one.
Right. Well, Rockstar's doing fuck all on Grand Theft Auto 6 since 5 makes them so much money. So why would they? Of course, none of all of the developers are just sitting around doing nothing. So they were probably like, "Yeah, I got you."
Kids who are 10 years old have never played a different Grand Theft Auto.
Yikes.
I mean, it's funny that we're saying yikes. Like, these kids don't even know, but we're like, go shoot people and kill people.
I don't know,
Maybe
man.
kids under 10 shouldn't be playing it, but I was, and I fucking loved it.
It was like last year or the year before I started replaying Vice City. God, that's a good game.
It is incredible, man. That soundtrack, that's really like where the radio stations picked up
Yep.
too. The radio station thing starts in 3 when it goes to the 3D open world and kind of changed everything. But those radio stations are like 10-minute loops, I think. They're very
Yeah.
short. Vice City, entirely different. They had a fictional band in that game, Love
Yeah.
Fist,
They
who
really
are
went all
great.
out. They really went all out on that game, and it's wild to me. I was playing it on my PS4. That this came out on PS2.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
like it's really crazy, man.
a
Really
different
crazy.
era altogether. You getting that new Zelda?
Oh, I already have it.
Oh, fuck yeah, you do. Yes. You gotta let me know how that is.
Oh, you know I will.
All right, let's talk about this new King Cruel track, If Only It Was Warmth. Did I tell you I bought tickets to see him?
You did not actually.
Yeah, going to see him this September, finally.
That's
That has
really
nothing
cool,
to do
man.
with the song, just kind of wanted to brag about it. It wouldn't be a King Cruel rollout with him dropping a song that makes me think, does this need to be a single? So in a way, it's comforting to get something a little underwhelming like this after
Right.
getting one of his best singles to date. That said, though, this one grows on me with every listen, and I am very excited for the new album coming soon. What are your thoughts on it?
Whoever this track is directed at, I really hope they feel it. This track is fucking depressing as hell, man. I love it.
How
though.
could you not?
Even though it's pretty slow for my taste, I still really enjoyed this one. How excited for you? This is a new album could roll out, right? Have we gotten
Yeah.
confirmation?
Yes, his album Space Heavy drops in a couple weeks, June 9th, so like 3 weeks away.
God, I love that.
Yeah, fucking awesome. All right, man. Speaking of fucking awesome, we got a new one from Spoon called Sugar Babies. What are your thoughts on it?
God damn, John. Even their B sides are fucking great. This piano driven riff is just so neat.
Yep. Yeah, this is
So
the
neat.
first of 3 new Spoon songs we're going to be getting this year that were recorded during that same session as their last album. Very excited for that. I don't know why I found this so funny, but I was scrolling Twitter the other day and somebody tweeted just the sentence, "They're playing Spoon in the Cheesecake Factory." And I laughed about it for like 15 minutes. Why is it
That
so funny?
that made me feel so old, bro.
Oh man, I'm gonna laugh about that forever. I don't have a release date on that 3-song EP they're gonna be dropping of the other songs, but best believe we will be throwing it on the playlist when it's time.
Most definitely.
New one from Blur, The Narcissist, their first lead single off their upcoming album. How excited are you for new Blur?
Honestly, man, I'm super stoked. Blur was obviously extremely popular in the 90s. I've listened to their album, though, Magic Whip from 2015, like a ton of times. It's really
Of course
good.
you have.
I saw a lot of people saying that they've like come back or something, but they never really left. Damon kind of does this, right? He goes to Blur and then makes an album and then does or doesn't tour and then goes to Gorillaz and makes 2 or 3 albums and then comes back to Blur. I mean, this was almost written in the clouds. I
Yeah.
really like this track, and the album artwork for this new album is just straight up gorgeous.
It's beautiful. I don't know if this sounds timeless or dated. It's new Blur. Who cares? Like, just fucking
Right,
enjoy it, you
right.
know? I thought it was a good song. I'm excited to get the rest of the album. So you're firmly in the Blur over Oasis camp, right?
Most definitely, 100%.
Okay. Gotcha.
And infighting is a lot less common in Blur as opposed to Oasis. So
Oh God, no. Yeah, Oasis are the Frank Ocean of indie rock, dude.
apparently, their Oasis is getting back together to do
No,
either
they're
a
not.
tour or an album. And I was like, has somebody told Joel? Like,
Yeah, they're both gonna be on screen in different states, live streaming it or
yeah,
something.
yeah, the Gallagher's aren't going to get together anytime soon. If they're not getting get together for Thanksgiving, or no, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, for Christmas, then they're definitely not getting together for a new album or a tour.
Exactly. I mean, I hope we get that reunion someday, but I'm not holding my breath at all.
I will never forget DJ Snake dropping. We were at, I think it was Hard Summer 2015, and DJ Snake dropped Wonderwall, and the entire crowd was just like there for it. It was kind of a beautiful moment.
Goddamn right they were. That's fucking awesome. Whatever happened to that guy?
I think he made a ton of money and then he
Yeah.
dipped, but he might be playing Vegas actually. Now that I think about it,
Skrillex made a ton of money, and he's given us like 150 songs this year. So
right,
step it up, people.
Skrillex is a creative. No offense,
Yes.
DJ Snake.
Yes. All right, let's move on to this new one from RVG called Common Ground. It's my first time hearing this group. Not my usual cup of tea, but they sound really clean and polished, and I enjoyed that last 30 seconds or so of this track just turning into a little jam session. But I don't think we've covered them before, have we?
We have not. I recently found this band. I actually really like this track. Some indie kind of posty punky stuff. Don't know much about the band other than that they're from Australia, which shouldn't be surprising to you as I clearly like music from Australia.
You have your finger constantly on the pulse of what's hot in Australian indie rock.
I honestly have no idea how it happens, man. It just falls into my lap and I'm like, oh, this is fucking great.
Maybe that's how Australians felt about America in like the mid 2000s.
Right?
That's just good music has to come from somewhere, and it mostly is not coming from America right now. All right, new one from Foo Fighters. Speaking of great music coming from America, this one's called Under You. Please, I will defer to you when it comes to saying if a new Foo Fighters song is good or not. So tell me.
It's fine. It's a Foo Fighter song. You can
all
tell
sound the same.
You can tell by the way it sounds.
They're great musicians making paint by numbers alt rock.
Honestly, man, I have a soft spot for them, man. They
I
put
know
out
you
good
do.
music. Their last album, I don't think I really liked that much, but the album before that, Concrete and Gold, is honestly one of my favorites in their discography. So they still have some surprises for you. And Concrete and Gold, if you haven't listened to it all the way through, is not paint by numbers. They've also confirmed that Dave tracked the drums for this new album. They have announced, though, that Josh Freese is the new drummer for them.
Saw that. Congrats to them.
Yeah, right. He has drummed with A Perfect Circle, Sublime with Rome, The Offspring. I really hope that this band kind of sticks for him, as he is a really good drummer.
Yes, he's a good drummer. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've never had a soft spot for them, so it's tough for me. You know what it is? It's that this fucking kid in my high school that I played Dungeons and Dragons with once was obsessed with Dave Grohl. Not even Foo Fighters, just Dave Grohl. And he used to annoyingly play these fucking songs on his guitar all the time and like try and be all high and mighty about it. And he was a fucking idiot. So I think I just associate them with that, and that's like where it comes from. But yes, I should be a little less biased and go into this album as open-minded as possible.
Can you
subjectively did not enjoy this song.
Can you DM him this episode? Look, man, I have you ever seen them live?
No, I have not.
Got it. That's probably part of the reason why you might not be like a huge fan of theirs. They put on a fucking killer show. Like, they are most definitely headliners, which is why they're headlining at festivals.
You could be right. There's a lot of indie bands like that I wasn't into because I was into like mainstream pop and like the scene and shit, that I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of that. But when I started going to like Coachella and shit, I did get more into like Interpol and the Strokes and bands like that. So maybe that would have happened with Foo Fighters too.
Yeah, maybe.
We got a new one from Smokey Bright. It's called Long Goodbye. This is the second song of theirs we've covered, I believe.
Yes.
It's a little more of the same, but I mean that in a good way. Very consistent so far. I'm digging the vibes. What about you?
Lots of passion in the vocals here, man. I've really liked their output so far. I'm glad you're kind of digging it. I agree. It's a little bit more of the same, but that's okay because the same is good in this case.
Gotta support my Pacific Northwest bands, man.
Got to.
We got a new one from Can't Swim called Must Be Nice, Metaphorically Speaking. So I was a little confused when I saw you added their new album to the playlist again this week.
I thought it was the single.
Yeah, after we'd already covered it. But I realized that they added a new song to the beginning of the album. If you hit add on the album, it adds the whole album. But I'm glad we got this track on here this week. It's a hell of a track. I liked it as much as most of the album. And beyond this song, just shout out to Can't Swim for fucking playing in drag the other night in a state where you're not supposed to be even in drag. I love that type of energy. Keep it the fuck up. What did you
Right.
think of this?
Honestly, man, this is just as good as the rest of their album, and I mean that says something. You and I both had praise for this album, so
Yeah, good shit, man. Big fan of them as people now as well.
there you go.
Actually, let's pause the show really quick. Not the recording, but the
Pause.
show, because Cliff Diver had an incident that they posted about recently that I kind of just want to draw attention to for a GoFundMe reason. So they were on a trip in their van heading to a show in Vegas. A freak accident involving a chain broke off of a truck, almost killing one member of their band, shattering their window. He's in the hospital, luckily survived, but they do have a GoFundMe up. If anybody is able to contribute to that, please go do so. It's for a great cause. They're an awesome band. We covered them last year, I believe. This is one of the scariest fucking stories I've ever read. They posted what happened on their Instagram and Twitter, I believe. I would direct people there. Any words or thoughts on that? Because that shit scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, man, it was actually one of the first things I read this morning after I woke up. Had my tea in my hand, and I was like, "Oh, what's this? Oh my god!" Yeah, I love their music. They're great musicians. I'll leave a direct link to the GoFundMe in the show notes, so people don't have to shoot around to their Twitter or whatever. But y'all should go follow them anyways. Yeah, I mean, I'm a speedy recovery
Yes.
to him, and I'm so glad that he didn't die, because everybody says that the doctors apparently said that he probably should have. So
When you read what happened and really picture it and even see the photo evidence of
wild.
the object that hit him, it's they said 1 in 100. That looks like a 1 in 1,000 chance of living through that. So
Yeah, probably one in a million of it like actually happening.
you know why he didn't die? Because God needs more ska music and not enough bands are making it. Shout
Straight
out
up.
Cliff Diver.
Straight up.
All right, let's move on. We got a new one from Bill Murray called Bow to Cashew. Talk to me about this one.
Apparently, this band is pretty big in the post-hardcore music nerds.
No shit.
Yeah,
My first time hearing him.
I had like heard of them, but I never really dived in. I hit follow and I threw some of their albums on my listen to next, which I haven't gotten to yet. But
Big surprise.
Hey man, I get through it. I just add to it also. I saw that they released this and I threw it on so we could talk about it. I love the lyrics. I love the heaviness at the end, and I really liked this track. I especially like this single cover. Like,
Yes, I was gonna say, not a surprise what release wins best album art this week
oh, for
at all.
sure,
Not
for
even
sure.
close, man. This one's fucking awesome. This song is fucking really damn good. It's poppy, it's punky, not quite pop punk though. Their bio on Spotify reads, Bill Murray seeks to strive in optimal levels of dank riffage, and I think they succeeded at that.
They most definitely did.
Yeah, definitely need to check out more of this band going forward. Got a new one from the Wonder Years called Goddamn It All. This one's the unexpectedly awesome track of the week, although it shouldn't come as a surprise after delivering one of the best rock albums of the year last year. I just wasn't expecting a follow-up single so soon and of this quality, but I will happily take it, man. This is fucking great. What'd you think of it?
I have become such a giant fan of this band since we reviewed The Hum Goes On Forever. This
Yup.
track is no exception. They just make like seriously top-notch music.
Yeah, this is fucking great, man. I don't know if that one made my top 10, but it would definitely be there if we were to do that list again right now.
I'm pretty sure it made my top 10.
It did. It did. Shout out you, Brandon. You have the best taste. Got a new one from
Thanks,
Kenny
John.
Hoopla called You Needed a Hit //. What did you think of the return of Kenny Hoopla?
Yes, we did need a hit, Kenny. Really like this track. //.
Yeah, I didn't know if we'd be getting the pop Kenny or the punk Kenny with this new track, but I was pleasantly surprised that it was more of a return to the punk side and a pretty straightforward, no frills return to it at that. I like it.
Yeah, man.
Work on your scream though, man. Do it from the diaphragm. All right, got a new one from Origami Angel called My PG Country Summer. I don't even know what that means, but this track has given me like first EP Hello Goodbye, but heavier vibes.
Those synths, huh?
Yes, yes, it's the fucking synth. That's the shimmy shimmy quarter turn synth. You're exactly right. That's
Yep.
what it is. It sounds like a mess on paper, but it works surprisingly well when you hear it if you're into this sort of thing, which I am. What about you?
I love the lyrics on this one, man. This is a great track. I really like this one.
Same. Moving on, we got a new one from Spanish Love Songs called Haunted, and I gotta call false advertising on this one because to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, this is not a Spanish love song. Am I wrong?
I was like, are you gonna accuse somebody of plagiarism and not tell me beforehand?
Like if the Marias were called Spanish love songs, sure.
That would make sense.
That would make it Caliuchis.
Yeah.
This does not make sense. That criticism aside, though, I thought this track was really good. Thumbs up. What are your thoughts on it?
I had never heard of this band before this track, and like a couple that I had previewed like a few weeks ago. But man, they know how to write a song, dude. The lyrics on this one, the instrumentals, the inflection, the passion. I really liked this song. This was runner up for my song of the week. We're not quite to my song of the week.
I have a feeling I know what your song of the week's going to be, but we'll see when
I
we
don't
get there.
think you do.
I hope I don't. All right, we got a new one from Hail the Sun called Chunker. Don't know if we've covered this band before or not, but I really loved this track, man. It's definitely the type of throwback screamo pop rock that I always gravitate to on this podcast, but a little bit different. It's got a little of that like Fall of Troy, Coheed DNA in it.
Yeah, that
And
math stuff.
yes, and definitely the winner of our if this was 2005, you would have found this track on MySpace award. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
Oh man, he's got that Anthony Green yelp that just really does it for me, man. Great
Can't
track.
teach that. Can't
Yeah.
teach that.
Oh no, you're born with that, and you are obligated to record music if you were born with that. So
Yes. You will be forced to. All right, we got a new one from the fucking Porn Crumpets called Newtmare Killing Meow. It's weird, it rips, it's definitely a Porn Crumpet song, man. What are your feelings on it?
this band has some fucking fuzz, man, in the best way. This whole song is just fuzzy. I love their style of psych rock, and I am just really hoping we have another album in the works because last year's Night Gnomes was just incredible.
I had a coworker see their name for the first time the other day, and that's just a moment because I remember the first time I saw their name.
Yeah, I know. It really puts you on edge a little bit for a second, right?
And it's so funny when other people are like, "Oh yeah, you found the Porn Crumpets."
Right.
It's great. It's fucking awesome. All right, man. Let's just move everything aside, get the bullshit out of the way. There's a new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard song. This one's Gila Monster, not sure how it's pronounced.
Gila.
But it's out in the world. There's an awesome music video for this one that I hope everybody checks out. What do you think of this one?
We got new psychedelic porn crumpets and new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and it's King Gizzard doing metal. I'm just
Acid dealers are making rent this month.
I'm just, oh man, inject all of this into my veins. I am very excited as I love King Gizzard albums like Infest the Rat's Nest. This song is infectious. It's catchy. It's very King Gizzard. It's also a lot heavier. All hail King Gila.
I'm with you, buddy. This one's fucking rad.
Gila.
And their new album? God damn it. Let's say what their new album is called. Petrodragonic Apocalypse or Dawn of the Eternal Night, an annihilation of planet Earth and the beginning of merciless damnation. That is the full title. That is great.
I'm dying. Oh,
I love
damn.
how they could not clearly decide between two side titles and went with both of them.
Oh,
They're
God.
the best. Satan bless King Gizzard.
Right? Please.
All right.
I do. I was one second. I have to draw attention to this album cover. This was hand painted and then obviously transferred into digital artwork. The album cover is just amazing, man.
It's incredible. Did you pre-order the vinyl?
Of course I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So you will own this piece of artwork. You can proudly display it. It's fucking sick.
Yep.
I didn't know it was hand painted though. That makes sense for the depth
Right.
of detail on it.
That's why I wanted to shout it out. I don't have the artist's name, but whoever you are, I'm sure you're listening to our podcast. We reach tens of people nationwide. So
If you want to draw Brandon's face logo, please give it give it a go. We've been using Chat GPT for all of our logos. So. I'm kidding. All right. We got a new one from Torture Rat called Morning Star Massacre. Talk to me about it, buddy.
This is Torture Rack's newest single off of their new album that's going to be released on 20 Buck Spin Records, which has just had a great couple of years as an underground heavy label. This track is fast and it delivers everything with ferocity. We may not review the album on the podcast, but I'll definitely be listening to it. And if I can find the time, I will most definitely be writing about it if we can't cover it on the podcast. But we'll be covering the singles, John.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
What'd you think?
You kind of, I liked it, man. You need to feel the sweat flying off a shirtless guy in the pit at a basement show to truly appreciate this type of track.
Right.
Their sound's super muddy. It's messy, but hearing this live would fuck you up in the best way possible.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
All right. We got a new one from the Halo Effect called Path of Fierce Resistance. Everything on this one is done very well, but those guitars just really set it off. Definitely a fun track to just throw on and headbang to when the mood hits. You enjoying it?
Dude, those melodies that just kind of like bounce back and forth between each other are fucking great.
Love that shit, man.
Yeah, really, really good.
And to cap off the singles this week, we got a new one from Health and Sierra called Hateful. Took a few years, but I can finally identify a Health track by the sound of the instrumental alone.
Yep.
It's music that sounds like it would be playing in an industrial club scene in a 90s movie, immediately following whatever Nine Inch Nails song that they blew the music budget on. Which is to say, I like this. They've grown on me a lot over time. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, man, I really like this, man. I'm sure this is hard for you to sort, though, similar to Battle Tapes. Yeah, it's heavy, but it's also not. It's like poppy, but it's also not. It's really good, man. I really like this. I've just become like a giant fan of Health. So,
yeah, man, I'm digging it. And I love how collaborative they are. Almost every song is with somebody else.
Right.
Let's move on to the EPs this week. We got a few, starting with Fiddler's Don't Fuck With Volume 2. This EP is around for a good time, not a long time. Kind of feels like being at a show where everybody, including the band, is a little drunk. I dug it. What did you think of it?
Rest assured, if you go see Fiddler, the band is most definitely drunk. This is indeed a Fiddler EP. You can tell because of the way that it is. Themes of alcohol, drug use, alcoholism, performed in like a punky way and just yelled at us in just the way we like it. Short, sweet, and to the point, whatever the point may be on this one.
Yes, I think the point is alcohol on this one.
Yeah, whatever.
We got a split! We got a new one from Celebration Guns and A Place for Owls. It's their new split EP. I love how many up and coming bands, I should say, are utilizing the split EP approach recently. What about you?
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that it's underutilized as a medium.
Yeah, these two groups accentuate each other's styles pretty nicely too and make for a pretty seamless listening experience. I really enjoyed all 4 tracks, but I came back to the A Place for Owls tracks a little more. They're a really cool mix of like blues, gaze, and emo, which isn't a combination I've heard very often, if ever, but really enjoyed. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, man, I really like this one. This is actually a split off of Really Rad. Celebration Guns has this kind of Death Cab meets third wave emo sound to it. It's just like so right, and the bass line on Tin Foible is fucking great. A Place for Owls sounds like a Jimmy Eat World meets like Dashboard Confessional. I just absolutely love this split, man. I went back to these 4 songs like over and over and over again. It's just like a really quick listen when you like kind of want music and you're doing something, but you know, you don't have time for an album, you know?
Yeah. No, it's exactly that. That's one of my most listened to albums of the year so far came out this week, so I didn't get back to this one quite as much as I want to, but I loved it every time it came on. Shout out Really Rad Records, always delivering great shit.
Shout.
One more EP this week from Summer Walker. This is Clear 2, the Soft Life EP. I wasn't a big fan of the first Clear EP. I'm not a giant fan of this one. I think the Cole intro is great. The Gambino collab is interesting. That's kind of where my enjoyment of this one ends. Her voice is great, but these songs are not. at least not for my personal taste. I'll still be eagerly awaiting her next album, but a more majority of this project was a skip for me. What about you?
I was obviously a little apprehensive when this got added because I didn't really like the last album that we listened to from her. I have to
And
say,
I did.
I did like this one a little better, actually. I like the Cole verse, the Cole intro. A lot of it is like softer and slower R&B that I typically don't resonate with, but I think it's really kind of like a great morning record for me. Hard Life has just great lyrical content, and I love the bass tones used throughout the record. Like it was
Yeah.
clearly somebody recorded using an actual stand-up bass. The Gambino verse is all right, and her spoken word track at the end of is pretty funny. I did like it, but I may not revisit it, but it is good.
What do you think the odds are we get a new single Gambino song this year?
I don't think he cares.
I think that's true. I do think he has music to be released, but I'm interested to see if he'll ever actually release it,
We'll
if that
see.
makes sense.
We'll see.
You know the dude's got to be in the studio from time to time.
Yeah, yeah, he
Uh,
probably is.
all right, let's move on to the albums this week, starting with this new one from KAYTRAMINÉ, aka Amine and Kaytranada, if you could not have figured that one out. Here's my review. I fucking love this. Next to Red Moon and Venus by Kelly, this is the easiest 10 I've given this year. I've listened to this album a minimum of 3 times a day, every day since it dropped, and I'm still not tired of a single second of it. I run this one front to back every time, no skips. It's the perfect combination of style and sound. Is it either of their best? I don't give a shit. So, with all of the mystery regarding what score I'm going to give this one gone, I just want to talk about my favorite things on it. Best instrumental, Who He Is. The bounce on that one, fucking incredible. Best
Amazing.
rapping, K&A, which is the closest we get to Limbo Amine on this project. Best flow and best bar. The second verse of from the Katramine made a slap, call it Will Smith line until the end. Best feature, Big Sean, who I've been very hard on since starting this podcast, but credit where it's due. He fucking snapped on that one. Best heartbreaker love song, obviously Rebuke. The opening bar of the first verse is just one of my favorite bars on the album. The court Courtney's got Disick divorcee, my ordeals might owe fees, part ways like McCartney, match made in heaven like Ja Rule Ashanti. Beautiful. And last but not least, best song overall, Forever, because how could it not be? It's already the song of the summer and easily a lock for my number one on Spotify Wrapped this year. I know it. Yeah, man, I'm fucking loving this one. I play it every day with a huge smile on my face. Pre-ordered the vinyl. If they announce a tour, I'm gonna buy a ticket immediately. I love it. What about you?
All right, I'm so glad that you're liking this. It is apparently an opinion that goes against the grain to really like this album.
Spotify gave it a positive review. Fantano did not, if that's what you're referring
It's
to.
not. It's not just Tony Fantano. It is the internet. Actually, I wrote my review and then went like I do to go see what people are talking about, and it's interesting. We have a controversial opinion here. I really like this album. I think I went into it though knowing what it was going to be. Amine isn't this like
Same.
super deep conscious rapper. Not that there aren't like moments that he has written within his discography. Kaytranada, on the other hand, is someone I'm not a giant fan of. I've been pretty vocal about that. His solo
Yes.
productions leave much to be desired for me. It's just not my tempo for electronic music, and when he does rap mixed with like down tempo house, it always just seems to be missing something for me. That is apparently another opinion of mine that gets me weird looks. Going into this, I thought that Kate Tronada was going to be making beats with Amine as they both work through this project. Forever definitely showed this when we got that single. Keitra wasn't making house music, and Amine wasn't trying to go up against Kendrick for the most soul-wrenching and vulnerable album he could make. They were having fun. This record is fun. This record is for rolling a blunt with your homies and driving to the beach. There's no trap. There's no fake I'ma kill you shit. This is straight up Amine doing bars over beats that Keitra specifically made for those bars and vice versa. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I expected. And that's exactly what we got, man. We have the intro to Who He Is, which got me bouncing. we have, the Let's Talk About It track with Freddie
Ready?
motherfucking Gibbs as a feature.
Do
Gibbs,
not fuck the nurse while your kid is being born, people. That is rude and disrespectful, but I love you, Freddie.
Gibbs, like, obviously kills it here. We talked about Forever, but I gotta say it really works in the context of the whole album too. It fits kind of perfectly exactly where they put it. Master P is a fantastic track, and Big Sean really brought it on this one. His feature is great, but Amine is right there with him, man. I was really hoping they were going to maybe sample Master P's Make Crack like this, but
I
they didn't.
wish.
STFU 3 has like an interesting flow from Amine, but I found myself really digging it after a few listens. KNA is like the perfect way to close this album out. I think this record is fun. It's well performed, and it's well produced. I was prepared to be like a little weirder about the KAYTRAMINÉ production, but I'm not. I actually think him and Amine did really well together. I'm a big fan of this album. With I think there's a few bars that are a little corny here, even for Amine.
Sure.
But I'm gonna give it.
I can even admit that
It's somewhere between an 8.5 and a 10 and a 9 for me. My standouts though are KNA, Let's Talk About It, or Master P. Those are my three favorite tracks that I keep going back to on this record. I have also gone back to this a lot. I just listened to it like right before we started recording. It's like a really easy listen.
That 33-minute runtime is just ideal for re-listening.
Bro, this is going to be an album of the summer, and I think people were just expecting so much because they have this they have this pedestal in which they put KAYTRAMINÉ on, that he can do no wrong, but he's done a lot of wrong. So this was a lot of
no,
right
he has not. Dear God, all right, I'm not going to agree with you on that, but I'm not going to fight you either because you just helped me defend myself against the internet. So. But I don't even give a shit, man. My opinion is my own. I don't care if other people agree or not. Like, I feel like it's an easy thing to like something, and then when other people hate it, think you hate it. This did not do that to me. Like, the second I saw Fantana's review, I put it on again, and I was like, I disagree.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's it.
Nope, this is good. You're wrong.
That's it, man. Shout out Fantana. All right, let's move on. We got a new one from KAROL G called Mañana Será Bonito. This addition to the playlist shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody who's been following along with our show for the past year or so. I have become a huge fan of Latin pop and have been looking for an artist on the same level as Rosalia or Bad Bunny for something new, and I found one. I've heard KAROL's name floating around for a while. Figured her new album would be a fun starting point to dive in. I think this came out back in February. Right away, I was into how many subgenres she incorporates to make her sound what it is. It's an ever-shifting blend of R&B, trap, traditional pop, and it keeps things engaging. Her voice is beautiful, the production's excellent, and all of the features on this one deliver as far as I'm concerned. She could have trimmed a song or two to make the listening experience a little more succinct or focused, but I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what tracks I would cut if that were the case, which is a great problem to have. I'm feeling a strong 8 for this one. My standout is TQC with Shakira, which is not just the best song on the album, but easily one of the best mainstream pop collaborations to come out this year. What do you think of this one? I've been waiting your thoughts on it.
Did you just discovered this album?
This album, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I've been listening to this album since it dropped.
Oh, shit. I had no idea.
Well, honestly, it wasn't by choice. Not that KAROL G isn't like good. Yeah, everybody's been bumping this at work for months. In fact, they're like
they
just
got their finger on the pulse.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you're as popular as KAROL G is, I mean, it is what it is. Look, man, I've heard all of these tracks in and out of order like a number of times. This is a really great pop album, man. I've been practicing my Spanish, but I still can't really follow most of the songs. I love XC Volvemos, TQG with Shakira, obviously, and Provenza. These tracks are just clear standouts in an album that's honestly filled with really great music. I'm not really sure how to review this more than that, as I really can't connect to the lyrical content.
You don't have to,
and you know how
or not.
Yeah, you know how important lyrical content is for me. But I know good music when I hear it, and KAROL G has made some great music. It's funny. Someone I know even said they went to Coachella in 2022 just for her. She's doing gigantic numbers right now, 41st in the world as of this writing, and 800 million streams.
For context, Beyonce is 38th.
Right,
That's how
right.
popular KAROL G is right now.
Right. And she has 800 million streams on like a number of her songs. That's not cumulative.
As she
That
should.
is numerous songs with 800 million streams. I remember when it was a big deal when Justin Bieber broke the billion mark first.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get like a number of tracks that have a billion streams this year, man. I'm gonna give this one a 7. It's a really good album. Those three songs I mentioned earlier are my standouts on that one.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. I had no idea that your coworkers had been bumping that. That's fucking great. Shout
Yeah,
out your
man.
coworkers. All right, we got a new one from Kesha called Gag Order. I missed her 2020 album High Road, but this kind of sounds like the logical next step after her 2017 album Rainbow. It succeeds at being both mature and more experimental than her previous works, which is kind of a tough balance to strike. Eat the Acid and Fine Line still feel like the crystallized thesis behind this album, but I think there's something on here for people looking for flashes of the old Kesha as well. Like the dollar sign in her name is long gone. She does not wake up anymore feeling like P. Diddy, but she can still make some fucking bangers. Only Love Can Save Us Now is a fucking banger. Or take you to unexpected places like she does on the drama when it descends into this Fiona Apple-esque layered vocal outro repeating the phrase, in the next life I want to come back as a house cat, which same. But I don't know if this is an album I'll be personally revisiting very often. I don't know if it's built for replay value on like a casual basis, but I think she accomplished what she set out to do. It sounds like she got a lot of thoughts off her mind. And talent wise, I don't think she's really ever sounded better. I liked this. I'm feeling a strong 7. My standout is Only Love Can Save Us Now or Fine Line or Eat the Acid. All are great. What did you think of this one?
This is a really beautiful album, John. I like how
I'm
it's all
glad you dug
her.
it.
There's no features. You can tell she really wanted to make this album for herself, and in the process, it's probably resonating with like a lot of people. And that's just like lyrically. On the
Hmm.
production end, she really plays around with a bunch of different styles and inflections. The ending of Something to Believe In really showcases this. Eat the Acid is some of the best advice I can give anybody. All seriousness, this track is gorgeous, and with its like droning synth work and its like odd percussion and then like switching to filtered guitar and just like becomes something different entirely while remaining the same is so cool. Living in My Head gets like really vulnerable, and this kind of
Yeah.
continues through Fine Line. Then we get to Only Love Can Save Us Now, and she just goes off, man. I
She's possessed, bitch.
I love the energy of this track. It's real passion and anger and like justified selfishness. All I Need Is You is just beautiful. The drama is a very interesting track with like a bass line that I fucking love. It's super wild to hear Ram Dass on a Kesha track here. For people who don't know who Ram Dass is, he worked with Timothy Leary at Harvard researching psychedelics. Peace and Quiet has this like free feeling to it and like brings energy with with like the off kilter production that's just been kind of going on throughout the whole album, and it works like so well. The album ends on Happy, and it's kind of like the perfect way to end the album, if you ask me. I really, really dug this, man. My standout is Only Love Can Save Us Now. I'm giving it an 8, man.
I am not at all surprised that Ramdas is on an album that Rick Rubin produced at all. Or that she has a
Oh
song
man.
called Eat the Acid on it. There is clearly some inspiration going on here.
You think?
Yeah, a tiny bit, a tiny bit. It seems to have helped her in a very therapeutic way, though.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
Holy shit, man. We got a new album from The Used called Toxic Positivity. Please dive in, my friend.
As you and fans of the podcast will know, I am a fan of The Used. In fact, I am a very big fan. I really enjoyed Heartwork when it was released, I think in 2020 or maybe 2021, and I've enjoyed all of their records to varying degrees. The theme of like established rock bands going more pop has like been a thing in the last few years. Silverstein did it last year, but they really made it work like really well. And we've seen Fall Out Boy do it along with All Time Low just this year. I wasn't a fan of either of those albums. I'm certain there are other examples here, but hearing Giving Up as the last single for this album, it was just a little weird for me because I really didn't like what I was hearing. And then the album dropped, and they open it with Worst I've Ever Been, which is actually very much a used song. There's melodies abound, Bert's voice, and a production that is like a little bit more poppy than what they've been in the past, with like filters and effects on things. And that really sets up the album for like what it is. It's what we hear for the majority of it. There is some fan service here, like the plucked strings on Dopamine and the that bring you back to Lies for Liars, and the progressively
note.
and the progressively heavier as the song goes on with Numb. The thing for me here is that there's just a lot of interesting mixing and production choices here that I don't think they work the way they wanted them to. I thought like maybe they worked with a different producer. Nope. Still John Feldmann. If you're unaware, Feldmann is the lead singer for Goldfinger, and he has produced the majority, if not all, of the used albums, along with a ton of other albums that I listened to today. However, I did go through his production discography, and you'll find that his most recent production credits have just gotten poppier and poppier and poppier. That's not necessarily a bad thing in like the grand scheme of things, but I don't think it worked for this album as much as I wanted it to, or maybe he even wanted it to. Heartwork was great, and in my opinion had like the perfect amount of pop juxtaposed with the used to it. This just has too many effects and filters for me, man. What I will say, though, is that these songs are probably going to fucking bang live. The Used puts on such a fantastic show that I'm sure I'd be singing along if I saw them on tour with these tracks. Well, I liked about half of the tracks. I think this one is kind of a miss for me, man. My standout is Worst I've Ever Been, and I'm kind of sad to say that I'm rating this a 5.
Wow. God damn, man. Okay. So I think we have a lot of the same points, so sorry if I regurgitate some of yours, but I feel way different about it than you. So this rollout confused the fuck out of me, man. I thought it started with People Are Vomit, which did not make the album, and I'm happy about that because I thought it was fine, but not nearly lead single worthy. They followed it up with Numb, which sounded a tiny bit more lead single worthy, but also a little more poppy than I was hoping for as well. So going into this album, I didn't have high expectations for it. I was just hoping for some good songs. But I ended up liking this one a lot more than I thought I would, and that could have been because of the expectations I went into it with. I think I should know better than to doubt the Used at this point, but the singles threw me off for sure. All of those thoughts were kind of long gone for me by the end of the first track, Worst I've Ever Been, which I think has become one of my favorite songs of theirs in recent history. It's anthemic, punchy, riff heavy, and they needed to start the album like that to get my attention, and they did, and they delivered. From there we go into Numb and I Hate Everybody, which sound good within the context of the album, but are my two least favorite songs on it. But once again, by the time we finish Pinky Swear, I've forgotten all about my minor criticisms that are running through my head. They go into full fuck it mode and remind me why I'm a fan of this band in the first place. The album goes in a lot of different directions from there, though. I found most of those directions to be enjoyable. They bring back the theatrical audio aesthetics of Lies for Liars on Dopamine, like you said, and give us elder emos something to cry about on House of Sand before wrapping up the album with a surprisingly upbeat note on Giving Up, which is a happier song than it sounds like based on the title. I found this album hard to rate because they're a band with such a vast and deep discography at this point that it feels like I'm really only rating them against themselves. Overall, I have this album at an 8, which is pretty high. But as it stands right now, it'd probably be near the bottom of the top 5 at best in their own discography ranking, which isn't a knock on the album. It's more of a credit to how long they've been doing this at such a high level. So yeah, man, I enjoyed this one. Worst I've Ever Been's my favorite. I think I'm going to settle around a 7 or an 8 for this one. I dug it.
Super duper fair. I think both of our biases going into this album kind of affected how we listened to it. I did go back a number of times. I thought about that, and well, maybe it'll grow on me.
Yeah, only time will tell with that. I think we can both agree Worst I've Ever Been is a fucking jam.
Oh, most definitely.
All right, man, let's move on to this one from the Ocean called Holocene. I know you've been really excited about this release. Did it live up to your expectations?
Holy shit, man. As the album rolled out, I have noted some apprehension with the sound that I've come to know and love from the Ocean kind of changing a little bit. I was wrong. I kind of wish we didn't get any of these singles, to be honest, because they all work so well within the context of the whole album and really didn't work that great for me without the context. So this album is actually the end of a trilogy of paleontology themed records. This is the Holocene era of paleontology, which is the part where humans come in. And this one is the softest of the bunch, but it somehow still kind of hits the same chord for me. The album starts off with Preboreal, which we got as a single earlier this year. This track builds with polyrhythms until the band just really hits it towards the end of the track, which leads into Boreal. This song does the same thing. It's kind of slow, building rhythmic vocals until like an eventual crescendo. This is the point where I noticed that this album is best heard with quality headphones. My earbuds are all right, my car speakers are shitty, but the cans really do this justice. Sea of Reeds was released as a single, but I actually don't think I added it to the playlist to review because when I listened to it, I was like, this is weird. This is a slow song. It's probably my least favorite on the album. It does make sense for the album, but I feel like those 3 minutes of this track could have like been added to 2 other tracks and kind of gotten the same feeling. I mean, this band is no stranger to 9 to 12 minute songs, you know?
No, they are not.
Atlantic is one of those songs that just gets better every time you listen to it. The riffs hit harder the 5th time than they do the 1st, and the drumming like somehow gets more complicated every time I hear it. It's really a masterful prog metal track. The scream at the end with "Your daydream is over" is just beautiful. Then awesome. The seamless transition into Subboreal just works so well. This song's heaviness is just sublime. 4.5 minutes of builds and breaks into some fantastic lyrics. Here we get not only my standout for the album, but my song of the week, Unconformities.
2.
Yes. Karen Park's voice reminds me of Tasha Baxter's voice on like a huge level. Her voice works so well for this track. The instrumentals behind her hauntingly beautiful voice just bounce the energy level up and down on a dime. The drum fills are fucking awesome. The drony guitar works actually reminds me of like if Interpol made metal, just like proggy.
Yep.
Something about turning on the bright lights, which I don't know if they're like fans of Interpol or something, but it's like them saying don't turn on the bright lights almost seems like an homage
Everybody's
to them.
A fan of Interpol.
Well, that's not true. This track just fucking explodes into madness that just left me in awe the first time I heard it, and all the way through to like the 6th or 7th time as of today. Just fucking insanity. And man, does Parabiosis really make a lot more sense in the context of an album, because it comes right after Madness and it kind of just fits perfectly between the 2 tracks that it's sandwiched between. This song brings in like some familiar melodies from earlier portions of the album. The horns, which I haven't mentioned earlier in my review here, but they've been building throughout the record, and they really kind of like, I've been hearing them softly in the background, and they could be like triggered by a keyboard or something, but it all works so well here as they kind of come into their own. And then the closer, Sub-Atlantic, I love it when prog metal bands go psychedelic. One of the reasons why I love Lucid Planet so much. They use this like psychedelic drumming and sample triggering to kind of create this like really neat atmosphere. Like most of the tracks on this album, it takes a turn about halfway through and just pummels you with chaos. I really love this record. I definitely will be revisiting it throughout the year and trying to come to a conclusion of what I think the concept is on all of these songs while reading through lyrics. It's masterful prog metal, and I love it when bands that do this style can do both clean and slow and fast and heavy without any hesitation. I have always said Tool would be better if they just let themselves be a little heavier, and The Ocean, I think, fits right in that pocket. I'm going to give this one a 9, man. Unconformities is my standout on this album and most definitely my song of the week. What did you think about it, John?
It's weird. My notes just say unconformities. No, I'm joking. I was up and down on the singles for this one, and I've been critical of them for being too Tool adjacent, but really what modern alternative prog rock band isn't. So with that criticism laid to rest for this, I dove headfirst into this album to meet it on its own terms. I gave it a few listens, and I enjoyed it, man. This just isn't a genre I'm personally a huge fan of outside of the occasional release that hits me at the right time. I wouldn't say this album broke through to me in any major way, but there's a few moments on it that I kept coming back to, namely Unconformities. That's the track
Well,
that
yeah,
made me look at who I was listening to every time it would come on, as if I didn't know already.
right.
But I think it's far and away the best song from them that I've heard so far and should have been one of the lead singles. But on the flip side, it was really cool hearing it for the first time in the full context of where it fits into the album. My wife, who is very indifferent when I'm listening to albums and almost rarely asks anything, looked over almost immediately when this one started and was like, "What is that?" Yeah, there's other tracks and moments on the album that I liked, but that's the track I'll remember this one for. Overall, I'm giving this one like a high 6, low 7. My standout is Unconformities, obviously.
Awesome.
Are you getting the vinyl for this one?
Absolutely not.
Do they do vinyl or what?
Oh, they do. I'm just not spending that much money on anything. The CD
Good.
is $30.
What?
Bro, I looked at it today and I was like, no, hard pass. I will most definitely pirate FLAC files. I'm not spending $30 on a fucking CD. Your CD's worth $10. I'm sorry.
All CDs are worth $10, and that's for the
Right.
jewel case. All right, let's cap this week's albums off with this new one from Decent Criminal called There's More to It Than Climbing. You a fan of this one?
Yeah, man, I really like this one. This band has no idea who they are, and I fucking love it. I usually don't like it when bands do this, but I feel like they do the indie pop, surf rock, post punk stuff all independently good. But they also mesh the styles together really well. They have melodies that sound like they shouldn't fit, but they really do fit together well. I love it when a band doesn't take themselves too seriously and they still make seriously good music. That's what this is. I'm gonna give this one a 7. I like this one.
You're right, dude. It's like it's 90s, it's 2000s, it's modern, it's punk, it's alternative, it's
Right.
grunge,
It's
it's
all of
emo.
those things.
It's a lot of things that really shouldn't work together on one album, but they do pull it off, I think. And they aren't afraid to take chances. And you can really hear that creative freedom in the band coming through in the music. I thought this one was a lot of fun. I came back to it a few times. I'm giving it a high 6, low 7. My standouts were Soothe and Blind.
Blind is my standout. I think I forgot to mention.
Blind's a jam.
Yep.
All right, that does it for us this week. Join us next week as we're going to be talking about new releases from, get this, Arlo Parks, Heart Attack Man, Little Dirk, the weirdest combination of artists I've ever seen. I think Immortal's dropping an album. God
D-
only knows what else we'll be adding to the playlist.
WSTR is dropping an album.
Oh, we'll for sure be
Oh,
reviewing the new
we're
WSTR.
covering that for sure.
That's going to be a lot of fun. If you like the show, please make sure you're following along wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. Give us a follow. Say hi. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.